2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
What a day it's been. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Wednesday, halfway through the week. It's great to have you for the ride today, hanging out, doing what we do each and every day, trying to, in the best way we can, advance conservatism all over radio, TV. We are broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in the flagship station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas. We are all over radio, TV, live streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. Also on the website at HooserReason.com. You can go ahead and check that out as well. We also are on, I had some people yesterday saying, Andy, are you on Parler yet? Yes, I'm on Parler. You can find us at Hoosier Reason on there as well. Also on Minds.com. So pretty much we have just about every social media site covered, I think. I'm pretty sure. If there's any more, then I don't want anything to do with them because that's enough social media for me anyways. Which leads us into our topic today. There's a lot to get to, so appreciate you hanging out with us wherever you may be. We have the Wall Street Journal trying to say Donald Trump needs to come up with a 90-day challenge to settle on a singular message and try and catch up with his lagging behind the polls and support that Joe Biden has over him, which I still call shenanigans on that. I call malarkey, as Joe Biden says. I don't think that that's necessarily true, but if you want to talk about a 90-day challenge and focus on a singular topic, let's focus on a singular topic, shall we? So we'll do that here in just a little bit. Plus, the Free Beacon has come out saying that, let's just put it this way. We'll tease it in saying that there is support for law enforcement in communities where the media says there's not support for any law enforcement. So we'll talk about that, and maybe that's one of the messages that we need to focus on as a conservative movement in the nation. So welcome in. It's great to have you today on a Wednesday, but let's jump right into our guest. I don't know if you realize or not, there's been numerous times where social media has really not allowed our message to get out there, and it does it for everybody, I think, where you have to play the game of the algorithms. You get silenced or you get banned for saying something that is not even controversial, just factually true that the media doesn't want you to actually run with. Joe Pags, another national talk show host, he's a great host and a great friend. He's been banned off of Twitter because he said that hydroxychloroquine works, or hydroxychloroquine. And he, boom, Completely shut off. Completely shut off. So I want to talk about that and more. Why can't we get our message out there? If we're talking about medical experts, why can't we hear numerous different medical experts? You would think, I mean, the private sector, you can go get a second opinion, right? I don't like this doctor. He's a jerk. He said something I didn't like. I don't know that I want to do that risky behavior, that risky trial or treatment that they're trying to advocate for. I'm going to go get a second opinion. Well, today, with COVID especially, you're not allowed to get a second opinion. They shut it down. If you don't believe then what Dr. Fauci's saying, then that's it. You just are a conspiracy theorist. You're not trying to help your movement in any way, shape, or form, and we don't like you. And that's really how they've shut the dialogue down. So let's talk to our next guest here. He is the author of Technocracy Rising, a Trojan horse of global transformation. He's also the executive director and founder of Citizens for Free Speech. You can find them online at citizensforfreespeech.org. It's Mr. Patrick Wood hanging out with us here. Patrick, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Nice to be on with you.
It's a pleasure
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the program. It's an honor. This is getting to be a little ridiculous. We're getting frustrated. We try and create messages or actually an alternate opinion on issues, and no one sees it on social media. And when you say something like hydroxychloroquine works, then you get banned from social media. Why? Why are they silencing it so with an iron fist as opposed to just saying, well, you know, it's a different opinion here?
You know, there's a very dangerous trend and undercurrent that's going on in America that very few people have recognized, and it has to do with censorship in general. It started out originally, of course, just with some isolated people being thrown out of Facebook or maybe some posts taken down, maybe taken out of Twitter. But back in 2018, which is when I started Citizens for Free Speech, I noticed that there seemed to be some collusion going on between the big giants where somebody would disappear from Facebook and the next day he'd disappear from Twitter as well. Then maybe the next day he'd disappear from the Google search engine. And that was greatly alarming, to say the least. But I've narrowed this down and studied this a lot. I've narrowed it down to not just conservatives. It has to do with the issue. And you can be a flaming liberal for all they care. If you come out with something that, like, for instance, against this particular drug, and say, it works, and why aren't we using this, you would be silenced as well. They don't care whether you're conservative, liberal, or anything else. It's issues-oriented. And, you know, you're on notice. You say the wrong things, you're canceled. You know, the old cancel culture. But I've studied this to the point where just recently an article came out written by two psychologists in England, of all places, at the Edge Hill University, which is kind of a prominent semi-liberal arts university in England. And these two professors came out with this paper, they're psychologists, on how to manipulate the message to get people to buy what you're selling in that message. And they talk about climate change, they talk about COVID-19. And at the bottom of their article is this punchline. This is incredible. They said, to prevent optimism bias, we also need to avoid presenting, and then quotes, both sides of the argument in the messaging. The science tells us that there's only one side. This is the most dangerous thinking, I think, that the world has ever seen.
It is.
Somebody claims exclusive truth and then punishes everybody else for their quote-unquote mistruth. And this is where we are today.
Well, you're right. It's dangerous. It's scary, and I don't like it. I mean, when you try and search something now, it comes up with, I mean, Google, like you mentioned, you search something on Google, it comes up with all of the side they want you to see. You need to go 20 pages deep into Google to find anything that's actually relevant sometimes because they don't want you to find it. And if they don't ban you or block you on social media, they just shadow ban it to where you could have 20,000 followers, but you post something and you get 5 likes on it because no one's actually seeing it. I mean, this is, I don't know what you want to call it, fascism, totalitarianism, authoritarianism. I don't know what it is, but a lack of free speech is one of the most dangerous things any type of society could have, isn't it?
It is, and it's not just the free speech issue. Of course, when I say Citizens for Free Speech, it sounds like, well, that's what it is. But we are interested in the First Amendment in totality, and there's actually 5 things contained in the First Amendment. The first one starts out with the expression of religion, but then you have free speech, then you have freedom of the press, then you have the right to peaceable assembly, and so on. All of these elements of the First Amendment are under a full full spectrum attack. Each one of them. Churches are being told that they can't sing in church and you have to social distance, so you can't greet anybody, and or they just shut you down altogether. There's several lawsuits that are pending on that.
Yeah.
The free speech issue, like what we're talking about here, it's just huge right now, the attack against free speech. And it's not just in social media. It's trickled down into industry at large. You find, for instance, MasterCard has dropped some people. They refuse to process their financial transactions. You've had Stripe do the same thing. You've had other companies refuse to do business with those who push these certain issues. So it's not just social media anymore, but it's like, they're trying to squeeze the last little bit of toothpaste out of the tube, and they step on the thing, they stomp on it, to flatten it out or whatever. They really, really, really want to get rid of anybody who parrots a narrative that isn't their narrative.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's really going down to the base bedrock part of our community now. And it's killing people. It really is.
Yeah, it's killing a lot of people. Was that the initial intent when they started a lot of the social media, the Twitter, the Facebook? Was that the intent of this and saying, hey, you know what, we can create this great network where everybody's getting together and we can start changing the mindset of people and the transformation of thought process with these individuals? Or did it start with great intent of we just want a community of people online, and then it's just evolved into this because they're scared of hate speech, or the people in power have political opinions that they wanted to enforce? I mean, how did this begin?
Well, this is why I wrote 2 books on technocracy in the last 5 years, explaining what this movement was, starting back in the 1930s and fast forwarding to today. It's headed toward scientific dictatorship. It's headed toward a new economic system that will look like the Green New Deal. And this whole great panic of 2020 is what I call it now. I'm not saying there isn't a virus out there. There certainly is, and some people are getting sick from it, but it's not anything what they say it is.
Right.
But the original panic button was pushed by the same technocrat operatives at universities that were working the climate change scam before that. Same type of computer models. They're using faulty data, corrupt data, using faulty assumptions, using lousy programming techniques, etc. The same people came up with the original projections. Oh, we're going to lose 1.2 million people in America and 500,000 in Great Britain. And everybody panicked. And they had the effect of shutting down the entire global economic system. This is what's happened, not just in America. They have shut down everything. And this has been a long-standing goal of technocracy, to destroy capitalism and free enterprise once and for all. And I have to say, they're doing a pretty good job right now. It looks like they have the upper hand. But inside of that envelope, you have this movement, a kind of a subset of technocracy that has to do with transhumanism. That's the application of technology to the human condition. And all of this stuff surrounding COVID-19 right now, if you just think about it for a bit, the goal of this, where it's headed, where the money is, because there's no money in wearing a face mask. People that sell face masks don't make but a penny a piece.
Sure.
But where this is going is towards mandated vaccines that will stick a needle in your arm. Hopefully, they think because the government has, says everybody needs to be vaccinated. And now they're saying it's not just a single vaccine. It's probably going to be a whole series of vaccines that you're going to have to line up for. And this is the goal, to take over the management of the human body in the same way that they're trying to engineer the economic system. I'll tell you, this is totally insane. In my opinion, this is the craziest thing we have ever seen in our life. People have a hard time believing there are actually individuals out there that believe this stuff, but you don't have to go far to find, certified nutcases that are talking about this stuff. Look at Bill Gates, for instance. What's he got to do with vaccines? Well, he's going to make probably $1 trillion off of selling vaccines to everybody on the planet if he gets his way. But, just remember Microsoft and Control-Alt-Delete. And just remember the blue screen of death that pops up on you just when you're ready to save your work, right?
Yeah.
And, oh, no, it's gone. Yeah, that's the same Bill Gates is now saying he's going to engineer humanity.
Wow. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I never thought of it that way, but the same a formula, I guess they like to use with the climate change of either you believe in man-made climate change or else you're a denier and we need to dismiss you because you don't believe in 98% of scientists that concur in man-made climate change. They use the same scare tactic of we're all going to die. The Al Gore in 20 years, we're all going to be underwater on all the coasts. Scare tactic, the same kind of scare tactics being used right now for the virus. And that's something that I think is concerning for us. We got to take a break here, but I want to continue this. Patrick Wood, he is the founder of Citizens for Free Speech. You can find him online at citizensforfreespeech.org. This is hugely important, and I think we need to talk about not only big tech, but big pharma and where this is going, how we continue to fight this and get our message out there on the alternative side of this, because if they're silencing us, what do? We have some outlets like this with talk radio, but how often can we actually get it out there for individuals that don't even know about it? We'll do that when we come back here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here on a Wednesday.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you today on a Wednesday. Your mind's kind of blown right now, right? It all works together. It's all one big agenda down the road. And I know, put on the conspiracy theory hats for a second, right? To control and silence your voice, to silence your opinion, to silence your agenda, because you can't have no conservative, traditional, constitutionalist values here. We need the one world government. We need the one world mindset. We're all in this together, right? We can just live happily ever after together in one big harmonious movement. And if you don't believe in climate change, then you're just a climate denier. If you don't believe in vaccines from Bill Gates, then you're just a vaccine denier. How dare you? You believe in like hydroxychloroquine and all this other garbage. Dr. John Adine we had on last week, and it was a great conversation talking about a lot of that one with, just the hydroxychloroquine and zinc, and you can build up your immunity and you can fight this. And numerous other countries have had way lower numbers than we had because that's what they've been doing and they've been fine. But no, we need to go through a series of vaccines that's been created by Bill Gates because we should listen to him, not the doctors. To talk more about this and more, Patrick Wood, he's with us here. He is the founder and executive director for Citizens for Free Speech. You can visit him online, citizensforfreespeech.org. Also, the author of the book, Technocracy Rising, the Trojan Horse of Global Transformation. So, Patrick, let me ask, with social media, and we're on all these different social media outlets, and it's hard to grow it because we have to fight through all of this garbage. Is there actually a legitimate social media site where they don't try to censor us? I mean, we're on the new Parler, we're on the new Minds.com. Do those work, or are those just another form of it's hard to get your message out there if you have an opposing view?
Well, the problem with Parler, for instance, is that they just simply don't have the audience that a Facebook has. And, people are certainly going over there. They're trying it out. But it is a new platform, and it's different. It's not the same as a Facebook or a Twitter. It's kind of a hybrid of both.
Sure.
And, moving from one big platform to another after you're kind of addicted to one is really difficult. So I've had, kind of the same experience of you guys, I suppose. I'm posting things to Parler, but I don't really have a giant following there. I'm not sure I ever will until they get the user base.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of choices right now, and I think most of us that are dealing with this kind of censorship and social media are simply going to have to use guerrilla marketing techniques and find out other ways to reach our audience. Americans have been horribly creative, and how to do that over, decades and decades. And this offers us another challenge. The low-hanging fruit now is gone. Yeah. And we need to get creative and come up with new ways to reach our audience, and it probably is not going to be an alternative to social media.
We got about just a minute or so left here, but outside of social media as well, just researching, finding information, finding facts online and trying to Google it. Are there good web sources where you can Google or search things, or do we just have to try and weed through the best we can through different sources like Google and Yahoo?
No, I think I would avoid Google if I were anybody, that unless they really understand how the algorithm works, I just don't do it. There's other search engines like Bing.com, that's Microsoft search engine. It's not anywhere near censored like Google is. And then you have DuckDuckGo.com, it's another good one that's not censored at all. You have StartPage.com, which is not censored. And there's some others like that as well. Quant is one. I think there's probably a half a dozen different browsers that you can use that have search features. And, go to those other sources, and they may be a little bit less convenient, but you're not going to get your results filtered like you do with Google. And, anymore, it's like Google knows you by name. When you check into a browser somewhere, it's like, hello, Andy, good to see you back. Then they start feeding you all this stuff that they want to change your mind on.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
well, and then they try and do almost the pay to play, to where you need to register with them to have your business up at the top. You can try and search for a business in that industry. Patrick Wood, we appreciate the time very much, my friend. We got to get you back on the show again here real soon.
love to do it.
Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely, very much. Make sure to check them out, citizensforfreespeech.org. We got lots more coming up here on The Voice of Reason. Bottom of the hour news coming up. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast, Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn, Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, trying to cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag, which is what we do every single day, trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Welcome into the Voice of Reason on a Wednesday today. Thanks again to Patrick Wood. Great information. I'm getting comments from all over social media right now. Like, Andy, that was awesome. Great information. Good stuff. Absolutely right. And it's sad. Isn't it sad how we fall for the same formula every single time? Every single time we fall for this, the Fast and Furious, the devastation, the we need to fix it right now or else, oh my gosh, what will we do? Or if you don't believe it, you don't believe it? It's just common sense, like man-made climate change. We're going to be underwater on both sides of the country within 10 years. Now, it didn't happen, and they don't say anything of like, wow, we really messed that one up. No, it was, well, the numbers were off, or no, it just got prolonged, or no, we actually did some things to prolong that, so we still got a long ways to go, but it's going to happen one of these days. It just never stops. They always continue every single day with this, with the coronavirus. If you don't wear a mask, then how dare you? How dare you not wear a mask in public? How dare you try and fight this? How dare you not just stay at home, self-quarantine yourself, and just go about your life just staying at home and isolating yourself from everybody else and wearing a mask even in your own car? Why don't you just follow these simple, common sense procedures, right? That's what they want you to feel. That's what they want you to think each and every day. And we don't. And when we don't, then we're the deniers. There were studies done, quote-unquote studies, done, at least reported, that if you do not trust the government, and if you do not believe in the status quo and the norm where people just go along, and you're believing conspiracy theories, and you believe in the apocalyptic things, and you're a doomsday prepper, or you just like to think for yourself, and you try and fight the system, and you're a rebel, then you mentally have an issue. You are mentally unstable. They tried to run this as a legit story, because they don't want you to think differently. We need to be all on the same harmonious level, right? So that's what they try and say. Why they try to deny you. If you are a climate change denier, then you are a crazy, wackadoodle kind of person. You don't believe in man-made climate change. How dare you actually not believe in man-made climate change? If you don't believe in mask wearing with the coronavirus, then you are the worst person on the face of the earth. You're going to kill everybody, and why can't you just get along? And since there are so many of them, now we have big tech that's wanting to try and silence you and shut that message down, so that way someone that's trying to research and do their own understanding can't find that type of information. It's unbelievable. And they do the same tactic every single time, no matter what the issue is. Law enforcement, we need to stop the whole system because we can't have law enforcement out there abusing people left and right. When in fact, according to the freebeacon.com, 80% of black Americans want police to spend as much or more time in their neighborhoods as they currently do. Now, why do we have high crime rates all over the nation in larger cities? Number one, because they're Democrat-run. Number two, the Democrats don't like law enforcement unless it's the military wanting to enforce and impose their will and try to find people for actually not abiding by the rules that they set because they want that iron grip control on you. But most law enforcement in inner city areas in larger cities, they back off. We're not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. We don't want anything to do with it. We don't want to do anything with that. We're just going to leave you guys. We'll be there if you call us, or we'll be there to do the autopsy or clean up the body bags at the end of the day. But when there's an issue going, no, because all you guys do is abuse us, and they backed off. According to the Free Beacon, 80% of black Americans want police to spend more time in their neighborhoods. Many communities are actually trying to work on the police relations in different communities to where they're friendly. People like them around. They're going to spend more time in there so that way you stop the crime. The community policing is not going to do anything. That's not going to stop any issues. You have to go the other direction. They've tried that. Again, like I've said before, if you want to stop the police from coming into your community and you want the community policing, do your community policing and lead by example to where the cops don't have to come to your area. What a crazy concept, right? Instead of forcing them to be shut down and be like, gee, wow, why my city turned to crap? Because that's where we're at right now. But it's that narrative. If you don't believe in it, then you don't like minorities. You don't like people having free equality on the streets. You don't like the fact that people can actually have the same rights you do. You start to get turned into a demonized individual, and after a while you just kind of get numb and used to it because you're just like, okay, whatever. But that's what they try and do each and every day. It's the same narrative each and every time they try and do something. If you try and believe in cuts in federal spending, then you hate people. You don't want them on social programs. You want them to die in the streets. You want elderly people to die in the streets. You want sick people to die in the streets. You want poor people to die in the streets. Because you don't want a 6% growth in the budget. You only want a 2% growth. And to them, that's a major cut, and therefore you want everybody to just die. It's the Fast and Furious. It's the demonization, and it's the cramming it down your throat to where there should be no opposition. And that's what social media has done. That's what the interweb has done in many cases, and it's hard for us to fight against that. And when we speak out, we get labeled as the crazy individuals, which we're okay with after a while. We're just like, yeah, whatever. We understand, but we're trying to advocate for truth. So what can you do? What can you do with something like that? What you can do is actually have the conversations again. Have the conversation at the dinner table. Andy, don't talk politics or religion at the dinner table. Yeah, you do. Hey, what'd you learn at school today? Well, we learned about Abraham Lincoln. Oh, really? What'd you learn about today with Abraham Lincoln? Well, he tried to free the slaves. Okay, yeah, he freed the slaves. That's awesome. What else did he do? I don't know. What do you mean, well, you don't know? What do you mean? Do you know what else went on at that time? What'd you learn about the Revolutionary War? Well, a bunch of white people had all the power. Then you get to have the conversation, right? Then you get to re-educate. You need to educate early so that way they have the base understanding, so where they don't go into what we're in today with many millennials, many of my generation, not having that base of understanding, Googling something and hearing about how George Washington was nothing more than a slave owner and a rich guy, and therefore he didn't have any justification for being president, nor should we be following him and idolizing him as a founder of this great nation. And if he did create it, then this nation really isn't worth a daggone because he's the one that founded it rather than someone else, right? It's what we learn. What about Jefferson Davis? Well, what about him, right? This is the kind of education we have to do again because this isn't working. Whatever we're doing now, it's just not working. Then you see things like this where New York, as they try and pride themselves on the fact that we have high taxes and this high spending. If you remember, they try to do the free health care for poor individuals that just want to walk into a hospital. Now all the rich people are leaving. Like, we can't afford this anymore. Do you ever hear the story? And it was a story trying to teach about capitalism a little bit. Remember those stories like way back when the elders would tell stories and gather around the campfire and you'd tell a story and try and educate the young generation or the little kids about making them think about something with a good message. And you remember the story about 5 guys that were friends would always go into the bar. And they'd always have drinks and dinner. They'd do it once a week. And they would pay based on their income brackets like we do with our tax income brackets, where one person was the ultra wealthy, and he'd be paying close to 80% of the bill. The other ones would pay based on their income levels, and they would go traditionally down. And after a while, the other ones were like, wait a second. Ours keeps going up. It's getting more expensive. We're having to pay $5 instead of $4 right now. What the heck's going on here? You need to be paying your fair share to the one guy. The one guy says, wait a second, I already am. I'm paying 80% of the tab here. What are you talking about? They say, no. You need to be paying more. You need to be paying for all of it. We shouldn't be having to pay for this. You need to pay for all of it. Until one day, they rode him enough to where he walked out the bar and said, pay for it yourself. I'm out. I'm going to go find some new buddies. And when he did that, the bill came, and now the ones that weren't paying nearly as much before now had to pay for a lot of it. Remember that story? It's been floating around for a long time. New York City is going through that exact same thing. They've been taxing the rich. You hear about it in college. You hear about it. If you believe in capitalism, you believe in that evil trickle-down system. Then you're a horrible human being. You need to believe in capitalism. You need to be believing in the rich paying their fair share, the rich paying more because we can't afford that. How dare you put the burden on us? And rich people are leaving New York City. Rich people are leaving. Here's the story from the Daily Mail, out of the UK, of course, because the United States media won't report this. But Andrew Cuomo begs wealthy New Yorkers to come back to save their city and pleads, quote, I'll buy you a drink, as he fights off calls to raise their taxes. I'll buy you a drink. Come back, please. We can't afford this. We created the free health care for the poor people right now. We have coronavirus where it's devastating our economy with everybody being shut down. We haven't been able to go to work. We need the people with the money to come back so that way we can actually afford these things because we're running dry in the city and as a state. They're begging the wealthy individuals to come back. This is the social experiment, and I keep getting torn between the rock and the hard place. I want on one side of me, I say, you know what? Let them do their dumb things in places where I'm not. Because if they do it, then you can see how bad it actually turns out. And they'll always find a way to justify it and say it wasn't really their fault, or it was the Republicans' fault, or evil conservatives, or we didn't go far enough. You like that one? I always love that one.
We've never really done socialism. We just need to try it again.
We've never done real socialism. We need to reinvent the wheel, and this time it'll work. It's never worked before, but we didn't go far enough. We didn't do the true socialist mindset here, right? I love it when they say that because it's hysterical. You can just laugh at them. We didn't go far enough. But on one side of me, I say, you know what? Let them turn it into their social experiment and let them bomb miserably. It'd be funny to watch. On the other hand, then I feel bad for everybody that's involved actually in it that doesn't want it because they're kind of stuck in there, and then we don't ever get to come back. We don't ever get to have them come back and actually solve things the right way because they'll never concede defeat. They'll never say that what they did and the ideas that they promoted and the policies they implemented and the regulations they put in and the high taxes, they'll never say that it actually failed. They'll never do it. So you can't just say, haha, look at that. You failed miserably, dummy. And you go back and fix it because you can't fix it. It never comes back. Which is why it's so important for us to continue to fight each and every time, why every election's more important each and every time, why this election is the most important election each and every time. We always say that because it's always true, because the fight never stops and it never goes away. Lots more coming up. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. One more segment, and it goes by way too fast, so try and sit down and strap in because we're just going to try and cram through this as much as we possibly can. A few minutes left of the show. Welcome in on a Wednesday. Podcast going up a little bit after the program as we've been doing it a little bit different time this week because of some other sporting events and things going on. But nonetheless, you can still find us on radio all over the place, TV, social media, the live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter. Plenty of opportunity for you to check out the show. By the way, speaking of all the rich people leaving New York City real quickly, according to Fox 5 New York, they've now, because they're trying to find ways to supplement that revenue, right? It always falls down on you. If the rich people leave, then they try and tax you more for a seatbelt violation, for smoking violations, for parking ticket violations, for whatever else they deem necessary. Well, apparently, they're now going to be setting up quarantine checkpoints in New York to where you could get fined a lot of money. a lot of money, like $1,000 kind of a lot of money for violating quarantine checkpoints within city borders in New York City. Because number one, they don't want you to be out and about. They want to shut down the economy because it's that bad, and we can't use hydroxychloroquine and zinc. We need to wait for the vaccines to come out. Then you can get your papers, and you can wear the little stamp saying that you got your vaccines, and then you can function in society again. And if you don't, you're going to go through the quarantine checkpoints to where you're going to be fined up to $1,000. Yeah. Talk about that freedom and nice little harmonious getting together and working together kind of thing, right? Yeah. So looking at it and kind of circling around full circle to what we talked about at the beginning of the show, the Wall Street Journal says Trump's 90-day challenge to settle on a message and erase Biden's lead that he has in the polls right now. What should be Donald Trump's 90-day challenge? What should be that message that he comes out with? I think he's doing fine. And I think the message needs to be what he's doing right now. And all of this that we've talked about needs to be the focus of that. Your rights are being censored. Your rights are being violated. Your privacy is being violated. Your right to free speech is being violated. Your private property is being violated. You're not allowed to carry a firearm anymore. You're not allowed to go out and speak your mind without being abused and physically harmed in some cases in the community. And oh, by the way, we're going to support the military. We're going to support law enforcement. We're going to open things back up and get the economy going. Look at how great the economy was when I was in the last 4 years, and look what we can do when it rebounds again. That needs to be his, and that's been his message. And that's why I think people are going to overwhelmingly support Donald Trump in the election, because they don't want to hear, what's Joe Biden done? What has he done during this time? He sits in his basement, he reads it off a card, he stumbles all over the card, and then he goes about how bad Trump is. That's all he talks about. He doesn't have any solutions, doesn't have any ideas. He's talking about not even debating. He wants to hide in his basement and try and win it just by default. While Trump's out there, when he can't actually rally, he goes on and he does one-on-one, hour-long, half-hour-long interviews with the media. His enemy, the ones that hate him, and yet he goes out and talks to them. Why? Because that's all he's got, and he doesn't mind doing it. That should be his message, and guess what? He's going to win. He's done more for the African-American communities. He's done more for the Hispanic communities. He's done more for every community, whatever nice little box you want to put people in with their identity politics. He's done more for those groups than any other president. Why? Because he doesn't care about the identity politics. Oh, look, there's a bad thing going on here. What can we do? What can we do? You're going to find that on the media, though, right? Not going to find that when you Google it. Not going to find it anywhere else. So while they try and hype up, look how great socialism, communism, this nice big mentality is with higher taxes on the rich, you see them leaving New York City. They don't want to talk about the leaving in New York City. They don't want to talk about how states like Texas have some of the largest expansions of the population in the country because people are driving in groves there saying, I want to actually have a little bit of my tax money left over. Here in Kansas, we have sales tax on food that's ridiculously high, like 6.5%, 7% sales tax on food. It's absurd. But yet, they say, well, we need it for the revenue. Ha ha, we got to keep it for the revenue. Ha ha, right? That's what they do. They want to keep that iron grip control on you. And while they talk about shutting down businesses, they want to talk about how bad the economy is. And somehow, it's all Trump's fault. I don't know where they come off with that, but somehow it's all Trump's fault. So keep up with the messaging. Your 90-day challenge is not stumble around and not necessarily personally attack individuals on Twitter, but just come out with your message of what you've done and what you're going to do. That's it. Poll numbers continue to rise. He's had the highest approval rating that he's had in like a year on the Gallup daily tracking polls. He's doing fine. Joe Biden's not doing anything, hoping he can ride out a presidential election sitting in the basement of his home. That, to me, is absolute craziness. That does it for us today. Back at it tomorrow. We're back for a few more days for the week. Make sure to stay tuned in. Great guests coming up on the show in the next couple of days. You're not going to want to miss it. Podcast going up in just a few minutes here as well. Make sure to check it out on all of your favorite podcasting sites. Until then, be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason. Everybody have a great Wednesday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.